the difference between BMI and percent body fat and what this means for your weight loss goals. So I'm Jeremy, the Tall Trainer, and we're going to jump in this a little bit. This is a BMI chart. And so BMI is a proportion of your height going up and down to your weight going across the top. And that just gives you an arbitrary number. It really is fairly arbitrary, but it at least allows us to kind of describe a population. And so you'll look in here, and it will use me as an example. I'm 6'3". So we go down the height column, we go across to 6'3", and then we see it says third up from the bottom there, and we go across there, and we can see right in this range. Now, I am 190 pounds. All right, so that puts me at 24 at the high end of the healthy weight loss range, or the healthy weight range. All right, so sometimes, like I may be like 195, and so that would actually put me right on the overweight category, kind of in between, but usually, it kind of maybe trips over just to the overweight side a little bit. And I don't feel overweight, and I don't look overweight, but that's because I have extra muscle. So BMI does not factor in extra muscle. It just factors in that typically when you weigh that certain amount, it's not healthy, and it should be at lower. All right, so it doesn't work with some of the fringe population, so if you're extra lean, extra muscled, it doesn't show up as well. But for most of us, it's going to be fairly good. And if you're on the high end of BMI, it's not a bad thing if you have extra muscle. Now, if you're way over here, let's say here I am 6'3", if I'm over here at 220, 230, 240, 240, I'm obese. Even if I have extra muscle, that may actually not be that great for some of my joints and things like that. So that does factor in a bit. All right, so keep that in mind as well. So that is BMI. So you can find yourself on there. Here's 5'9" going across. You can see where you might be. Compared to that, 5'9", 170, 160, 150. Just to give you some ideas on where these ranges show up. All right. Now the other thing is percent body fat. The way to check percent body fat is usually bioelectrical impedance, the step on the scale kind of things, the pinching you stuff, underwater weighing, bod pods, those kind of things. And they're just estimates. They're just estimates of percent body fat. But they're helpful because they do not factor in, the extra weight. It's not just weight based. It's like is your weight made out of something healthy and strong? And so we use percent body fat, when working with our clients. We don't talk about if we're keeping track of their weight, we're basically keeping track of their BMI already because their height's not changing anything. So if we keep track of one number, we don't need to keep track of both. It'd be overkill. All right, so because it's the weight is the only part of the equation that you can change. So we keep track of percent body fat. Most of our clients are probably in this 41 to 60 range, but some of them are into that 61 to 79. And so if you look at women, 23 to 35% or 24 to 36%, it's not that 10% body fat, which some people feel like they need to get to. You're talking like in the 30s for body fat is okay. So if you are at 40, don't worry, you're within reach. You can get there. It won't take too long. Some good focused effort, and you can get to that. That is doable. All right, so you don't need to get too crazy low. All right, men, you'll notice the numbers are a little bit lower. They have guys. We have less essential fat that we need to have on our body. So a lot of times I'll say, a comparable fitness guy and a comparable fitness woman. A lot of times the guy will show up as being 10% body fat, even though you'd say both of them are ridiculously shredded athletes. All right, the guy will just show up as having 10% less. All right, so just factor that in when you're looking at it. So if if your husband has 10% body fat, it's okay if you're over 20. All right, and you actually may still be the better athlete, in that. All right, so just take that with a grain of salt a little bit too. But even for guys, we're not looking for single digits here and things like that. We're looking for some reasonable numbers. So 11 to 22%. In that main range, 13-25%, puts us in a healthy spot. And so we do want that. That's definitely one we want to have even more of a factor in. All right, so that is just a rundown of the difference between BMI and percent body fat. And as you're setting your goals, you use both of those. So now a percent body fat, you won't know what body weight you will need to be in order to be that percent body fat. that doesn't work out as well. BMI at least gives you a rough idea of where in the weight scale. So if you're looking for trying to set a goal for how much I weigh on a scale, BMI can start getting you in a ballpark, but don't use that weight as a strict number, because if I am, so example, I am about 25 pounds heavier than high school. I put most of that on in muscle. You're like, man, you're kind of a skinny guy. Yeah, I am. About 25 pounds of extra muscle on. I could have easily gained 25 pounds of extra fat and still been at the same BMI I am now. And my percent body fat would be very different though. All right, so you want to make sure BMI gets you in a ballpark, and percent body fat is something that you do to figure out, am I getting lean and strong and healthy? One of my other favorite measurements besides, these two is waist circumference. So you can use that also, to factor in how you are doing on some of this stuff. So hopefully that is helpful, shed the light on between BMI and percent body fat, which gets confused fairly often. All right, set your goals well, go after them, and have fun, be safe. God bless.